But even this week is in fact celebrated as the Shakespeare's week, where there will be a lot of performances, that is theatrical performance, musical performance, everything on the plays of Shakespeare. So adapting to the modern era, his works have been adopted into countless films, TV shows. So all these demonstrate his enduring popularity and influence. And why Shakespeare is so relevant even today? We can see that those insightful commentary on human condition, the themes which he has chosen, the relevance of the themes which he has chosen cannot be limited within the four walls of England or any other European nation. It traveled beyond the boundaries of a nation, and the characterization is the depth of the characterization, and that is what it makes relevant even to the modern audience, I believe. So, this is what Shakespeare told about Cleopatra. Age cannot wither her, nor custom stale her infinite variety. So, we can say this about Shakespeare also. Age cannot wither him, nor custom stale his infinite variety. And these are the this is what I was talking about, the depth of characterization. We have flaws there, we have conflicts there, we have fears there, we have aspirations there, we have motivations there, we have what not is there in his place. And Shakespeare's I should tell a word more about Shakespeare's characterization also. So what talking about the age of Shakespeare, he lived in an age where there are binaries. So there will be Catholicism on one side and Protestants on other side. You have men on other side, you have women on other side. So there were a lot of binaries during that period. That can be reflected in the characters of Shakespeare also. So we can see that his characters are often flawed. You have a lot of conflicts within them. They are struggling with their own desires and their expectations of society, and they are in fact fully realized individuals with their own motivations, their own fears, their own aspirations, and it is that which make them relatable to the audience of all ages and backgrounds. So we know his characters. We have Hamlet, we have Macbeth, we have Romeo and Juliet. So all these characters, in fact, have become archetypal figures. That we know what is an archetype. So his characters have become archetypal figures who represent the universal themes and concerns. So, and also a word about Shakespeare's mastery of language, the way he used metaphor, the way he used smiley and other literary devices to create a rich and complex world. And that is what drew his audience and readers alike to his plays. So, and about his blank verse, that type of poetry that use the unrhymed iambic pentameter. The use of the blank verse, in fact, brought this natural sounding rhythm to his drama that is well suited to the stage. Whenever there are a lot of movies, the adaptations of Shakespeare's plays in English, we have to be thankful to them for using Shakespeare's plays as such. Not much change has been made in the cinematic adaptations also. So whenever we listen, the people from our country can listen only to the theater cinematic adaptations, even in those movies where the plays have been brought within those 2 hours. We really, the readers will be really in awe and wonder when we watch those dialogue deliveries. No, I always used to wonder how those actors could have presented these dialogues in the real stage, which some of Portia's plea for mercy, or Ophelia, or Antony's speech, it all goes for lines together, almost 1.5 page, and the dialogue delivery in the stage without getting the audience bored. It is that was made possible by the use of the blank verse, and those and his plays, they were written in an era. We know about the Elizabethan era, which was the time of great cultural and artistic flourishing in England. So naturally, his works reflected the political and social issues of the time. That included the religious tensions between the Protestants and the Catholics, the rise of the merchant class. We know that England was flourishing in trade, and a new class emerged, that is the merchant class, and the changing attitude towards gender and sexuality, which is very, 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 very important. And Shakespeare used his plays to explore these issues, often using his characters to represent different perspectives and ideologies, and that is what which made his plays very popular. So, and, a word about the casting conditions of those age. So, earlier 17th century, the commercial theaters became very popular, and these commercial theaters, we can say that they were all male preserves. Women were there. Women were, in fact, patrons. Women were, in fact, acting as the patrons. They lended money to the theater companies. They lended even their costumes. And women were the major, they played a major role as the audience. And in fact, they worked in the theater buildings. But the Valley area, which was which restricted them, that was the stages. So, in fact, the women of Shakespearean era did not act on the commercial stages. So that is why when Hamlet was first staged somewhere between 1600 and 1601, and Julius Caesar, it was staged in the year 1599, we know that these strong female characters, female roles were taken by small young boys, but who were highly trained. And we can see that the smallest number of female roles in each play, in Shakespeare's play, we cannot find many female characters. We can attribute the less number of female roles in each play. It is because of this restriction of women being not allowed to play a part in the stage. And but we can see that after around 200 or 300 years, this cross-dressing, this practice of cross-dressing, that is men playing the role of women, it got a topsy turn when women claimed their right to play roles like Hamlet. Like we have Sarah Bennett's 1899 performance of the French actress Sarah Bennett. She performed the role of Hamlet in the year 1899. So this cross-dressing became the otherwise. So when the feminist principles, which maintain that the skilled female actors should have equal access to the theatrical parts, that resulted in the all-female production of Julius Caesar, which was in fact directed by Philydia Leod, and it was staged in the year 2012. So all these have happened. So when Shakespeare wrote his plays, his female roles were played by men, young boys, and after 200 years we can see that there were theatrical productions where women played the lead male roles. And even though women were not allowed to perform, we can see that doesn't affected the quality of the plays. So Shakespeare's plays, it often featured very strong, complex female characters. So and through these characters, he very often explored the issues of gender, power, and identity. And we know that the most we have very famous female characters of Shakespeare, like Lady Macbeth, Ophelia, Juliet, Cleopatra, Rosalind, etc. And see the range of these characters. These characters range from being obedient and submissive to very strong-willed and independent. And their stories, the stories of these women characters, often explored the complex relationship between the men and the women. So the that's the women of the upper class, they were often they were often the patrons of the theater, and they used to attend the performances within the company of the male escorts. And these women were known for their fashion and style, and their attendance in the theater was seen as a social event. And therefore we can see that Shakespeare has created his female characters to cater to the needs of these women of the upper classes. And the topic I have titled my talk as "Of Love and Silence," because here we can see that the social conditions of that period has played a major role in the characterization also. As I was telling you, the women were not allowed to, not only they were restricted from playing a role on the stage, their situation in the society too was very complex. So they were often considered as the legal properties of either their parents or their husbands. So legally, women were non-existent, and in the courts they were treated on par with children. So that's why we can see that most of the characters of Shakespeare, even though they were very strong, ultimately they were silenced. So their characterization, it was that, and it is because of that their characters attained this multi-dimensional perspective too. So we can see that the women characters of Shakespeare are often very strong and independent. Lady Macbeth going to the extent of pursuing her husband to commit a murder. But at the same time, we can see that they are very vulnerable and they are subjected to societal pleasures. And these characters very often becomes the center of the play's conflict. And they navigated themselves through the complex social, emotional landscape, maybe to achieve their goals. So those non-existent nature of female then. So we can see it is in this background we have to analyze the characters of Shakespeare. See, they were not allowed, women were considered as sinful creatures, both physically and emotionally. The way they approached women epistemologically is very well evident through a famous statue where the upfront part is represented a very beautiful woman, whereas the when you travel around to go to see the next part, the opposite side, it represented the dark side of life. So women to the or women in the Elizabethan era are sinful creatures, both physically and emotionally. And as I was telling in the beginning, I didn't want. I thought that no. I should restrain myself to going into those dark shades of characterization, because today we, in fact, celebrate Shakespeare. So it is in this background, Juliet, the young, passionate, impulsive woman, dared to fall in love with uh, Romeo, and she was ready to risk everything of her life for him. And why Juliet's love with Romeo becomes a complex issue, because Juliet is the legal property of her father, and these rules were made in those days to safeguard the parental property. The patriarchal society want to safeguard the property, and Juliet's love with Romeo, it has a lot of economic shades too, and that is why a mere into unimaginable prepositions. So we know that we all know the story of Juliet, who in fact defies her family's wishes, and one of the what is there in a name, one of the famous lines of Shakespeare comes through Juliet, and Romeo belonged to the rival family. So there were a lot of obstacles. Juliet remained very steadfast in her love for the Romeo, and she has to pay what she has to pay her life for that. So she paid for that. In fact, her tragic life. So her tragic life was, in fact, a reminder to those young ladies of age who believed in the power of love, because a woman cannot stand independent. She will today or tomorrow she has to succumb to the societal pressure and expectations. So Juliet is also an example for this. She became a prey to her age, because she was torn between her loyalty to the family and her love for the Romeo. So she tried those. The inner Shakespeare has very successfully has portrayed that inner turmoil of Juliet, where on one side there is her sense of duty to her family. On the other side, she has feelings for Romeo, and basically she is a very strong and brave woman, and that is why she defies her parents, and her end becomes very tragic. And even today we know that Juliet and Romeo, they have evolved as the archetypes of true love, who is ready to sacrifice everything for their love. So I was mentioning Juliet and Romeo and Juliet first, because anyone who is not even a scholar in Shakespeare will be familiar with this name Romeo and Juliet, because there are countless adaptations and interpretations of the same story in literature, film. The balcony scene, almost in all the Hindi movies, we can see this balcony scene has got repeated again and again. So not only the characters, even the scenes of Shakespeare have turned to be the archetypal settings in our movies. And Lady Macbeth. So whenever we ask our students to choose a good role, to perform from Shakespeare, so Lady Macbeth and her hand washing scene, We cannot escape from Lady Macbeth. There is no escape from Lady Macbeth for the students of English literature. So, as I was telling earlier, Lady Macbeth was a powerful and ambitious woman who, in fact, went to the extent of urging her husband to commit murder for achieving the power and position. So, in fact, we can say that she has challenged the traditional gender roles, which maybe Shakespeare may be the only writer who will go to the extent of creating a character like Lady Macbeth. And who is very ambitious, who is very manipulative, and but what in fact, Lady Macbeth also faces downfall. She's not Shakespeare has not, even though she has defied the stereotypical gender roles. We can see that Lady Macbeth also represents the dangers of unchecked ambition and the harm it can cause to oneself. So, as Juliet, even though she is strong, determined, and fiercely loyal to her husband, the tragic flaw in her character was that she was highly ambitious. And so, even though there is a dramatic transformation in the character of Lady Macbeth, she was taken over by the guilt, and her actions could she herself cannot withstand the pressure, the toll of her own actions. She becomes unstable. She becomes paranoid, and etc. So, Lady Macbeth has also found numerous adaptations in literature, films, and other art forms. And I think Portia. Let's move on to Portia from Merchant of Venice. Portia is, in fact, a very gentle character. She's not very strong as that of Lady Macbeth. In fact, she was very gentle, very submissive, and wealthy and intelligent. And we all know the famous lines of Portia. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as a gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It's twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives, and him that takes. It's mightiest in the mightiest. It becomes the throne monarch better than his crown. So we all, as students, we all have studied these famous lines of Portia, and many of us would have performed Portia and her speech on the stage. And talking about Portia, I just want to take a different turn in the analysis of Portia. We can see that Portia, the gender roles assigned by Shakespeare, Portia, there was a role reversal. She wore the robe of an advocate, and she has won the case. So the importance is not to the gender there. It doesn't count whether you are a male or whether you are a female. If you are intelligent, you can win the case. But Shakespeare indirectly tells us that it is the cultural pressure that makes a woman like Portia, an intelligent woman like Portia, to sit to remain on the sides, and just the change of the robe will change the destiny. So Portia to have navigated through the complexities of love, money, gender roles. We get to know of the gender roles in the Renaissance Italy. So Portia was also respected by her community. She also undergoes the transformation from a passive, obedient daughter to a strong, independent woman. And today, we often see Portia as a symbol of female empowerment, challenging the gender roles and expectations of our time. So Portia has also has undergone the character of Portia has also undergone the countless adaptations and interpretations in literature, film, and other roles. So another character sir was mentioning, it's Ophelia, who in fact was driven to madness and suicide. We can see that there is a pattern in the characterization characterization by Shakespeare. Initially, they will be they will be strong, but they always pay for their actions. So Ophelia, she was driven to madness and suicide, not because of her own actions, but because of the tragic events that went on unfolding around her. So she was the we know that she was the love interest of Prince Hamlet, and uh, she is young, she is innocent, but she was caught in the midst of the political and the personal turmoil that was surrounding her. So we can see that Ophelia's character has been the subject of analysis and interpretation for centuries together. In fact, Ophelia is the victim of the patriarchal society in which she lived, and she also stands as the symbol of the fragile and the powerless position of women in that society. So, in fact, we can see that her madness is the reflection of the larger madness and corruption that was plaguing the world of the play. So, another character of Shakespeare is the Rosalind from As You Like It. So the we can see that in those days, there were countless role reversals, like men disguising as women, and then women disguising as men, and men falling in love with men, and women falling in love men falling in love with men, and all such confusions happen. You can have any number of interpretations for that on the heterosexuality or homosexuality of the age, or Shakespeare's homosexual interest, which in the case of Rosalind also, we can see that there was a role cross dressing in the case of the character of Rosalind itself. And Cleopatra, I should be bothered about the time too. So the Cleopatra, one of the powerful and seductive queen of history, and the victory of Shakespeare is that his characterization of Cleopatra, it was more powerful than the real Cleopatra, and the age cannot wither her, nor custom stale her infinite variety. That became true of Shakespeare also, and the characterization of Cleopatra has contributed to that. So even the more powerful Antony ultimately chooses to die for her, and die for the queen of Egypt, who is known for her beauty, charm, and wit. So we can how Shakespeare has portrayed Cleopatra. Again, she is fiercely independent, who is willing to use her charms and intelligence to manipulate those around her. And she was a passionate, emotional woman, and a skilled politician and leader. And she was just navigating through the complex political landscape of Egypt, Rome, and ultimately she is deeply devoted to her country, and she was fighting for the independence and autonomy of her nation, in fact. But there is also deep flaws in the characterization of Cleopatra. that she is portrayed as being capricious, impulsive, jealous, prone to rage, and her relationship with Antony is in fact selfish, manipulative, and we can say that it is presented in a way that she was using her sexuality to get what she wants. So, anyway, despite all these flaws, Cleopatra is fascinating, compelling, and she was also the embodiment of the complexities of human nature. She is powerful, she is vulnerable, and she is ready to do anything for the sake of her country. And let's move on to a softer side. Like while of 12th night, again in 12th night, we can see this cross dressing happening in a confusing way. So, the woman, and eventually she finds her love also. And I think before ending my appreciation of Shakespeare's women characters, I should talk of Desdemona. So Desdemona is one of the central character in Othello. See, I should go back to the first part of my talk where I was talking about the condition of women then, where women were not allowed, were prevented from having their own legal entity. They were not what they could not pursue their own interest, and it is in that background Desdemona, the young beautiful Venetian woman, she dared to love the Moorish general in the Venetian army, Othello. So, but unfortunately, she in the course of the play, we can see that she is being subjected to mistreatment and abuse from several characters, not only from her husband Othello, but also from even Iago. But despite all this, we can see that she is remaining very steadfast in her loyalty to Othello, and she refused to believe anything that was any lie and rumor that was spreading around her. But I don't know whether, as per today's standards, whether someone will be in awe for Desdemona. And in fact, Desdemona's tragic fate is the result of her husband's flaw, that is, husband's jealousy and irrational behavior. So Desdemona maintains her innocence. She tries to convince him of her love and devotion, but anyway, all this fell on deaf ears, and Othello, in fact, kills her in a fit of rage. And so we can see that there are complex, these female characters are complex. I don't want, because it's time, and I don't want to go into the other characters also. Anyway, we can see that all these female characters of Shakespeare, they challenged the traditional gender roles and expectations. That's very important. Shakespeare presenting these strong female characters standing in the background of his age, that has to be appreciated. And so even so here today, when we celebrate Shakespeare's birthday, so I think we should make use of this occasion to remember the everlasting and enduring impact of his works, and the ways in which they continue to shape our understanding of the world. So, and what I feel is we have to continue this legacy of Shakespeare by continuing to study and perform his works, and by recognizing the power of literature, and his works, in fact, they illuminate the human experience in all its complexity. And happy birthday, William Shakespeare, once again. And thank you for the everlasting gift of your art. And I thank the management of two colleges, Advocate B.D. Hambarde Mahavidyalaya, and also Bhagwan Mahavidyalaya of Mahavidyalaya Ashti of District B, Maharashtra, India. Because of these online, this is what COVID has given us. Even though I sit in front of my screen, I could talk to you, I could open my mind on Shakespeare, and addressing a lot of professors from various universities. Thank you so much, both these institutions, for giving me this opportunity. So I think we have celebrated Shakespeare's birthday and Shakespeare's week and World Book Day together. Thank you so much for this opportunity once again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for a very wonderful and scholarly talk. It was very informative as well. I suppose all students and teachers of English language and literature, they have enjoyed it. But even if somebody is not from literature, he also might have enjoyed it. You were so lucid, and at the same time, I must make mention that you were extremely dynamic. That to make a drama-like feel. So you captivated us by your knowledge, your analysis, your study. At the same time, you captivated the audience by your gestures, your body language, your facial expressions, and your personal library is also visible. All women characters that you talked about. Today also we are striving for gender equity. We say gender sensitizations. It was a very crucial time then. Shakespeare's time it was. So women were not allowed to act, and men were playing roles of women. And again, women were getting disguised into men, and that way there was a lot of confusion, as you mentioned, that men were falling in love of men. They couldn't understand that the disguised one is man or woman. Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm here because our honorable president, Honorable Kishorji Hambarde, he was supposed to be here for the complimentary close, but out of his very busy schedule, he is not available, and I am here to conclude. I must thank Ambore sir also for what she said about William Shakespeare, and that there can be hardly any language where Shakespeare is not translated. Therefore, he remains for ages. One thing I must make mention that our institute is celebrating Golden Jubilee this year. Some of the delegates might be alumni of this institute, and for them, I want to share the information that we are holding a mega alumni meet on 14th of May 2023. That is Sunday again, 3 weeks later. So all of you are welcome. I hope you will experience the new premises, and you will get the feel of the college days once again. Colleague from Bhagwan Mahavidyalaya from the Department of English, Professor Niranjan Helkar, to propose vote of thanks. Professor Helkar.
Thank you, Avai sir. Uh, Good afternoon to all. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible. Please
Okay,
continue.
fine. Yeah. Today we are celebrating women characters in Shakespeare's play as a tribute to Shakespeare's on his 454th birth anniversary. And it is a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making today's occasion a resounding success. First and foremost, I thank our special guest and inaugurator, Honorable Professor Uttamji Ambore, former head Department of English, Dr. Babasaheb Marathwada University, Aurangabad, Sambhajinagar, who, despite his busy schedule, has found time to grace this occasion. And I also express my heartfelt thanks to the chief speaker, Honorable Dr. Savita A.R., Head Research Center in English, Sri Ayappa College for Women, Chukankondai, Kanyakumari, Tamil Nadu, India, for her valuable contribution and great thoughts on Shakespeare. We are grateful to our patron, Honorable Mr. Kishorji Hambarde, President of Ashti Taluka Shikshan Prasarak Mandal, for his words of encouragement, his able guidance, his always encourage us. I thank him for his interest, his hospitality, and continued support. I also like to thank all well-wisher. Uh, I thank our well-wisher, Honorable Secretary of ATTI, Taluka Shikshan Prasarak Mandal, Mr. Atul Kumar Ji Meher, for his support, vision, and commitment. I thank our convener and principal of Advocate B.D. Hambarde Mahavidyalaya ATTI, the principal Dr. S.R. Nimbore for his enthusiastic support. My heartfelt thanks to the coordinators. First, Professor S.R. Pawar, Head of English Department of Bhagwan Mahavidyalaya, ATTI, and my friend uh, Dr. Abhay Shinde, Head of English Department of A.D. Hambardik Mahavidyalaya, ATTI. I owe special gratitude to the organizing committee, including Dr. Sriman Tonde from Bid, then Dr. Sajjan Gaikwad, Anandra Dhonde College Kada, and Professor Narendra Gauri from Amunuk College Kada, who have worked hard to ensure that this occasion become a memorable success. I thank all the distinguished invitees present here accepting our invitation. I thank the members of the media for evincing who work behind the screen. Last but not the least, I thank all my friends, participants, colleagues for your cooperation in making this function a resounding success. With these warm words and a kind message, we move to end of today's international webinar. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. As Madam had rightly said, Corona has given us this opportunity to meet virtually. We'll be meeting, and all the delegates, I must make mention that feedback link will be available in the groups. We didn't share it here because otherwise we get engaged there. The main intention of making only one session was this only, ma'am. If there is two or three or four sessions, then what happens? Naturally, we get out of the session. Sometimes we get delink from that. Therefore, purposefully, we made it only one session, and all of you were very much attentive throughout. I must thank you for that. And therefore, we didn't share the link here. The link will be shared on WhatsApp groups. If you because your valuable feedback means a lot to us, and for our personal improvement also. So I request all the delegates to give your feedback, and you will get the certificate automatically on your registered belt. Thank you all. Thank you very much. We are ending the meet. Thank you.